special edition of Boston Sports Nuts. Today we're going to preview the upcoming Super Bowl between the New England Patriots, our New England Patriots, and the Seattle Seahawks. I'm Paul Izzo, along with my good friend Ken Berman.
Touchdown, Patriots ball!
And Jim Russo, my buddy of 40 years now, Jim, we've known each other?
40.
25 of the best years of my life right there, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
And, you know, what hasn't been said, what hasn't been written, the Patriots are going to go to the Super Bowl for the 12th time in the last 41 Super Bowls, a remarkable achievement. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody predicted the Patriots would be in the Super Bowl, and certainly nobody predicted that the Patriots would be in the Super Bowl against the Seattle Seahawks. Both teams were over 50-1 long shots to win their respective conference championships. I'm going to start with you, Jim. What do you got to say about this? It's a really exciting time for us New England sports fans.
All right, Paul. I have tried to think of something different to say. And I've also come up with a few things that I'm glad you went to me before you spoke your thoughts, because I want you, when I'm done and after Ken talks, of course, to tell me why what I'm about to say will not happen. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, okay? I don't think it is, to get on the record. But in trying to come up with something different, I looked to the sport of tennis. Our friend Jan's big tennis fan. 1974, both Wimbledon and the U.S. Open, 39-year-old Ken Rosewall had a unexpected appearance in the finals where he got a good draw, and in both of them got demolished by in his prime, Jimmy Connors. Connors himself in 1991, at the age of 39, helped by a decent draw, made the semifinals before he lost to one of the top players, Jim Courier. John McEnroe had done the same thing, made the semifinals of the Open the year before he lost to Pete Sampras. I also want to reference NCAA basketball, where we all know these Cinderella teams have these incredible runs, make the Final Four, and then not make a competitive effort in the national semifinals. Now, last week, I told my analysis was, and I still believe this, it doesn't matter what happened before with the Patriots or their weak schedule, it's where they are now. So in looking at the playoffs, I think overall, without getting into, cover twos, contains, setting the edge, and all that there are two key questions overall. One, the Patriots offense, fact, has not shown well in the playoffs. It has not. There's no doubt about it. Drake May is completing 55% of his passes as opposed to 72. It's not been great. And a lot of that may be the weather. He's played 2 cold weather games and then a game in a virtual almost blizzard. Okay? To be fair, as analysts, we also must answer the question, the Patriots defense, while competitive all season, in the playoffs, in other words, where I pointed to last year, now is among the greatest defenses in the history of the postseason. Paul probably has the numbers. So our second question for this Super Bowl, to be fair, is, as we said, was it the weather on the offense or the fact he played 3 of the top 5 defenses? Here, is our defense really going to be one of the greatest postseason defenses of all time? Or were the offenses they played affected by the weather? That's my overall non-X's and O's analysis.
Well, I'm going to go next just to say this. That is the only analysis of this coming Super Bowl that I've heard that mentions Ken Rosewall. That is without a doubt. So if I hear you correctly, Jim, what you seem to be saying is, and I think we've all experienced this, the Cinderella team, whatever the sport is, eventually they hit a wall, and eventually
Well, Paul, I'll give you,
yes,
and again, I don't think it's going to happen here, but I think it's it's not wise to discount it when doing an analysis. And I'll give you an example that relates to both of us. The 1987 Final Four. My Providence College Friars, somehow, incredibly, with Rick Pitino, had a run and got to the Final Four. Now, they were good, where they ran into your Syracuse Orangemen and, frankly, did not play a competitive game in the national semifinals.
Right.
So
that's certainly a recent example. Another example might be a more appropriate example might be the 1985 Patriots.
Sure.
Who went 11-5 in the regular season and then miraculously won 3 games on the road against, and it's funny, against all 3 were rivals. They had to beat Miami. They had to beat the Jets. They had to beat the Raiders.
Yeah.
And they got to the Super Bowl and got stomped on.
Right.
I have a reaction to that, but I want to get Ken's take on that.
Well, Jim, not only Rosewall, but Connors and McEnroe and, all these guys that I forgot all about. By the way, that's when I watched tennis.
Yeah, me too.
I haven't watched it since then, to tell you the truth. But,
right. Well, I wouldn't go.
well,
I
maybe
wouldn't
here,
go that far, but
yeah, maybe a little bit here and there. Well, I think first of all, one of the middle playoff game, I'm drawing a blank who they played. Right, they played the Chargers and then the Houston, who had a great defense, but the Patriots did manage 3 offensive touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Right? And
yeah, they did.
They had some good drives. So, yes, I think part of it, they played 3 really good defenses. The Denver game, I mean, like you said, he played in a blizzard. Nobody was doing anything. I mean, Stevenson fell down before he was even handed the ball. It's like they couldn't, neither team could do anything. But the Patriots did have a 4th quarter drive that ate up like 7 or 8 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Which to me is good offense, even though they didn't put points on the board.
Yeah, and also in consideration of those things is the fact that we can't deny that Justin Herbert had a broken hand. The offensive line was a shambles. The Texans played without Nico Collins and then lost Schultz, who's their second best offensive player. And the Broncos played with a guy that hadn't taken a snap since 2024.
And I have a funny feeling we were playing with a quarterback whose shoulder wasn't 100%.
And that's an issue now too.
Well, I gotta, Ken, you all set there, buddy?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. A couple of things. Number one, the Seahawks arguably are a Cinderella team. And both teams, although one might say, well, looking at it objectively, the Hawks did more, the Seahawks did more. They were in one of the toughest divisions. You had the 49ers, you had the Rams. They actually had a greater accomplishment. Okay, that might be a fair point, but they were a preseason underdog also. So both teams are sort of coming into the Super Bowl as underdogs if you look at the entirety of the season, not just more recently. The idea that what you just recounted, Jim, and no disrespect to you, but if I hear one more national announcer say the following: the Chargers offensive line was beat up, the Nico Collins was missing, the Broncos were missing their starting quarterback. That has become the laziest take. I mean, you could find.
Remember, it's not my take.
I know. I just said. That's why I
Okay.
prefaced it by saying this isn't about you.
Okay.
That has become the only thing that matters is that both teams are in the Super Bowl, and both teams have to be looked at, I think, objectively. And here's where I'm at. And I confess 100% to being a biased Patriots fan, right? I mean, this is, who tends to look at things with rose-colored glasses. People are sleeping on the Patriot offense. If you look down the stats this year, the Patriots scored 24 or more points in over 80% of their games. They were very, very efficient on offense. They had excellent 3rd and long. They did well. They did well against some decent defenses that had poor records, like the Cleveland Browns. The only time that we saw the Patriots offense stumble was in the postseason. and I would put a lot of that on weather. If you were not at that first Chargers game with that sideways cold wind, you really should keep your mouth shut about that game. The weather conditions there were significant. The weather conditions in the Texans game were even worse, and we all saw, the whole world saw what was going on in the Denver game. Now, having said that, at the beginning of the Denver game, conditions were ideal, and May was underthrowing receivers, and the Patriots had trouble getting up and down the field. No denying that. But Denver has a good defense too. And I think that in what promises to be ideal conditions for football, unless it rains, it's going to be 65 degrees on a clean surface in a stadium that's surrounded. I think it's a bowl. I think it should be perfect conditions for May. And unless he's hurt, I think the Patriots will score. Now,
So then
can
the
Seattle keep
question,
up with them? Maybe.
the second question then is that horrendous conditions you speak about in the Chargers and Texans game was also present for the Chargers offense and the Texans offense.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
what is the case? And I believe, again, this is not my take. I believe the Patriots defense is very good. A lot of it, I think, is getting players back, frankly. Mm-hmm. But what is the case that the Patriots defense didn't benefit from those horrendous conditions that affected the Patriots offense? What's the case for that?
I would say to that I'm not relying just on what I saw in the postseason to admire the Patriot defense.
Right.
I think we've all heard the stat that with Christian Gonzalez on the field and with Milton Williams on the field, they have not lost a game. With those two
and
guys
that's what I base
together on the field, they have not lost a game.
Right.
And my confidence is based on returning players on that defense. It's clearly better, like most teams, when they're healthy.
Right. Absolutely. Now, there was a few guys on the list last week that were questionable, but do we expect everybody to be healthy this week? Is there anybody definitely out?
We don't know.
Not that I know of.
Right.
No one has been ruled out, but it's
tomorrow.
basically too early to rule anyone out. I think that would happen. What's today? Tuesday, probably Thursday.
And do we have, I don't have them, so I'm looking silly here, but do we have stats on the Seattle defense throughout the season and in the playoffs?
Very good. Top 5 at least. Very good.
Top 5.
It's right up there with the Patriots defense. Not the very best, but in that top 10.
Yeah, very
Absolutely.
good.
And they have faced good offenses.
Having said that, in several games, the Rams scored on that defense a significant number of points, which is probably the best team they played all year, and they played them 3 times. And split. Split.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, Seattle's good. Let's not forget, though, Sam Darnold has a track record, and that track record is he's not flawless. You know, he last year with the Vikings, he had a game in the postseason that was so bad that they moved on from him.
Right.
Now, Seattle's not going to do that. Darnold's been terrific, and you got to give him all the props, and he's got a few years under his belt, and he's a good guy from all accounts. I don't dislike the guy, and they have some good weapons.
Mm-hmm.
That's the term we have to use. You know, they have Walker, they have wide receivers, they have good players on that team.
Although they don't run well, by the way. They're like 29th in like running efficiency or something like that.
Well, one of their running backs is out. Their receiver is out of this world. He's fantastic. And I think Darnold is the other big question in the game. This is Nick Foles, too. Foles came on near the end of the year, played regular season games, took Carson Wentz's place, and then played a Super Bowl for the ages against the Patriots. And with Darnold, he's had a history where he's been up and down, and this year he's been up. And can he do it in the Super Bowl? And
to be honest,
no one knows that answer till he plays.
We have the same question because, May has had a great year, but the Super Bowl is a different story.
Right.
We saw Tom Brady cause the team a 2-point touchback.
Safety.
Yeah, we've seen him throw some bad passes in the Super Bowl for sure. And, the Super Bowl is a whole different game. His first time there, he's second year in the league. We don't know what we're going to, we like him. We know he's good. He can definitely capable of playing a great game. We don't know yet. So
It's hard to connect this Patriot team to the Brady team.
right.
The Brady 9 Super Bowls. Can you believe it? They went to 9 Super Bowls. The Brady 9 Super Bowls had so many similarities. The Patriots struggled early in the game.
Yes.
The games ended up close.
Mm.
All 9 of them, all
Everyone.
9 Super Bowls.
Well, there was an
Yeah.
article recently about Ernie Adams, who is now talking to the press in the Globe.
Yeah,
And it was a fascinating article. He really ran through that Butler play. And he made the point that in those Super Bowls, he said, we could be 9-0. We could also be 0-9.
Mm-hmm.
They were that close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've all said that too in the past. They could
Yeah.
have won or lost any one of those.
Any one of those games. Yep.
And that's
Yep.
Yeah.
where
The only one I take issue with, I've heard that stat before. I don't think there's any way they lose to the Eagles in 04. I
The first
just
time.
think that was,
yeah.
what's that? Yeah, in 04.
Yeah.
I think the score ended up being close, but I never at any point in that game felt like the Patriots would lose that game. The other ones, obviously those were all
Yeah,
bubblers.
with that one, he probably, I don't know, but maybe he means that McNabb, in theory, had a last drive that could have won the game
with 30 seconds left.
Yeah, but I'm kind of with you. I didn't think they'd lose that game.
Right.
Yeah, that was the only one. Okay, a couple of things that I just want to point out about the game.
Yeah.
Number one, Drake May is banged up. Would anybody be surprised if at the end of the year they say he's got to have his shoulder scoped or he had strained whatever, and they're just keeping that relatively quiet? I won't be, because I saw passes in that Denver game that were not his norm. So if it turns out that he was hurt, that will be an unfortunate development, but we're not going to know that till after the game. So we just have to have our fingers crossed that
he's good to go.
That's not the case. The second thing I want to do, and you guys know I obsess on this, and I don't apologize,
Don't.
which is the national media are all over the Seahawks. I mean, the other day, they went around the table on First Take, and Damian Woody went first and said why he liked the Patriots, and Stephen A just shut him down. Like I don't even want to hear that on my show. So I'm listening and I'm thinking, well, this show's 2 hours long. Have you just declared that no one can say anything positive about the Patriots for 2 hours? It's relentless. It's relentless on Sirius Radio. It's relentless on the NFL Network. It's relentless on ESPN, the national guys, The Athletic.
That's why I don't watch anymore.
Is it 100%? No, but I kind of like it because I think if any team's going to go in there thinking they're the favorite and feeling cocky, it's not going to be the Patriots. The Patriots are going to be all business. Seattle has been the anointed great story. Sam Darnold, revenge for 2014. I think the Patriots are in a good spot being the underdog. What do you guys think of that?
I think that all the things we posed as questions earlier are the reason they're that way. And I think it's the softest schedule, frankly, that I've ever seen. I mean, these are things that are facts. They're not like hypotheticals. So they're facts. And then the offense slipping in the playoffs for whatever reason. And I think and the fact that the Seahawks, and you're right, they're a Cinderella team, but they did play in the NFC West, which to me was far and away the best division in football this year. I mean, the Chiefs declined. The NFC West had, the 49ers, maybe the Cinderella-esque team of the year with all their injuries. Mm-hmm. The Rams, who, explosive offense, MVP candidate, who the Seahawks had to play 3 times. They played the 49ers, by the way, 3 times. So I think when you look at all that, they're saying, okay, the bubble's going to burst for the Pats and the Seahawks are the real deal. I don't agree with it, and I think that it is a bit short-sighted to discount the Patriots because, to me, they're refusing to take the possibility of what I said last week, which is, and I won't go through that lengthy diatribe again, but which is basically, where are they now?
Right.
It doesn't matter, if they're here because, yes, they would have lost 2 games in November that the easy schedule allowed them to win, or Jackson getting hurt and not playing allowed them to win, or Burrow not playing and Chase not, okay, fine. But it doesn't matter now. It's where they are now. And frankly, I think they're discounting that, which is that the Patriots are in a pretty good, or as Larry David would say, pretty good place. And in more than a good enough position to make this game competitive and possibly win. That's my take.
I like being the underdog, Paul. I like being the underdog. I like the underdog here. I don't see any difference in these teams, really. Not that I watched a ton of Seattle. I watched obviously in the playoffs and things like that. And I give the Patriots if I don't bet, I'm never a betting man. I don't bet at all. But if I had to bet, someone said I had to bet, I would pick the Patriots outright to win the game. I think they're going to win the game.
Ironically, this is the first game in the postseason the Patriots are not favored.
Right. Okay. I'd still
okay. So a couple things before we wrap up our Super Bowl discussion. So on the schedule, I cannot resist this. Okay, the Patriots. Why when people talk about the schedule, do they forget about the postseason? All right. Why do they do that? It's part of the schedule. Okay. The Patriots played 7 games against teams that made the playoffs. Right. They went 5-2. They played 2 games against teams, Tampa Bay and Baltimore, that had the other team won that game, they would have been in the playoffs. They won both those games. So I would argue that they played 9 games against, serious opponents, and they won 7 of them. That to me is a good enough sample to say, okay, sure, they beat the Jets twice. Sure, they beat Miami, twice. Sure, they beat a banged up Bengals team. But they did play 9 games against teams that were either in the playoffs, in the case of Buffalo and Houston, and 2 teams that would have been in the playoffs if the Patriots didn't take care of business. And they went 7-2. Well, and that's my take on that.
Well, here's what I think people would say, and again, I hate doing this because this is not me, but this is what they would say to you is, again, Steelers, yes. The 2 Bill games, yes. But what if Drake May gets hurt and doesn't play the second half against Baltimore? What if it's Joshua Dobbs and against Cincinnati, and Diggs is also out, and Burrow and Chase play? What if Nick starts that game? And by the way, a far better runner than Jarrett Stidham in that snow, because Drake May won that game with his legs, in theory. What if Collins and Schultz played? That's what I think they're doing. Right. And what if the Chargers were healthy? So I think that's what's happening. This is very similar to the Celtics in 2024. Now, in 2024, the biggest difference was Porzingis was hurt. And as Ken and I still don't believe, no one would ever mention that.
Right.
But again, I go back to I go back to the Patriots. He's healthy now. But remember, for all you cynics, that defense changed when Williams came back. I'm sorry. That really changed. It changed when Gonzalez came back. He was hurt too. Pat, all right, you want to call the Pats lucky for getting healthy players back off injured reserves and other teams didn't? Okay, fine. But does it matter now? No. This is who they are. I think they're really good. And
by the way, they won some of those games with Williams and Spillane and other guys on the major players on the defense were out.
Well, I think, Ken, you hit on it there with Spillane. He is a major part of that defense when healthy. And, he wears the dot, to use the football term. And I think that's the injury, by the way, that I'm watching the closest as we get closest to the game is Spillane, whether he can play or not. He started the game against Denver, went out, went into the blue tent, came out, was on the sidelines, but never got back in. So that's the one I'm going to really follow in the next, 5 days.
Yeah. Robert Spillane is rated the 12th best out of 88 linebackers, according to Pro Football.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, not
you
bad,
know,
eh?
That's
so
pretty good.
yeah,
And he's
he's
a
pretty
great
good.
tackler, right? I mean,
Yep, yep.
yeah,
And he, you know, he's a very important player, and you know, hopefully they come in healthy. I mean, they're undefeated healthy. They are undefeated with their best players available.
yeah,
So that's the way I look at it. I mean, if Henderson's healthy, if Matt Collins is healthy, you know, all those guys, I think the Patriots have a good shot. So I'm going to give you my score. I think the Patriots are going to win the game 27-19. I think Seattle is in for a fight, and I don't think they realize it. I don't see the Patriot. I've heard a couple of blowout predictions. I just don't see that. I saw one of those things on Instagram. A really good bet is to take Seattle -20, where you can get like exorbitant odds. I don't see that. The Patriots have been in. I don't care what the schedule says. They've played 20 games and they've been in every game. They
Right.
could have beat the Steelers. They fumbled at the end. They
yeah,
could have beat the Raiders. They only lost by a touchdown. And the Buffalo game, we all saw that when they blew a lead late.
Yep.
They were in every single game they played. Now Seattle pretty much did the same thing. So I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way, but I think the Patriots win.
You giving a prediction on the score, Jim?
Oh, I think this is how the game's going to go. I think in the beginning, we're going to see the defenses be very good. And I think we're going to come out of halftime with a, you know, game in the teens or less. And we're going to go into the third quarter, which will be very competitive. And in the fourth quarter, as other Super Bowls have, it's going to explode. And I think it's going to be an offensive.
Isn't that every NFL game you say, Jim?
A lot of them, yeah. And I think the defenses, which, you know, the elongated halftime, everything going on, get tired. I think no defense on either side, despite how good they are going to be able to stop anyone except by a turnover or, you know, holding penalty that makes it 2nd and 25. And I think that the Seahawks, as much as I hate to say it, I think they're a slightly better team. And I'm going to say they win 35-28.
Wow.
Whoa.
Whoa.
How are we going to get through that
We're not.
one?
Well,
No, we will somehow.
I'm close. Paul almost stole my score, but I say the Patriots win another nail biter, 27-24, with a field goal by our rookie kicker, a la Vinatieri, in the last seconds of the game. So
Awesome.
27-24 Patriots. Or the
Hey.
Patriots blow them out 45-0.
Hey, Ken,
I'll
since
go with
you
the
brought
second
up
one.
kicking,
Yeah.
I think we all, I don't want to speak for everyone on this show, but I think we'd all like to see a little bit better performance from the Pats punter this week.
Yeah, that would help.
Yes. Barringer has struggled a little bit.
The
Better
Denver
weather.
punter arguably was the MVP in that game.
Yeah.
And it just shows how much that matters.
So can we just say, Paul, one of the big things that one of you texted around, but I've been thinking about for a long time on why the Patriots really need to win this game is because they either become the team that has the most Super Bowl trophies or the team that's lost the most Super Bowl.
Yeah, I texted it this morning. If they win,
I've been thinking about that since they got in. So thanks for texting it around. But I think it's huge that they win this game.
Yeah, if they win, they will go to 7 Super Bowls, and break the tie with the Steelers. If they lose, they'll go to 6 losses and break the tie with the Broncos. Having said that, you guys know my position on that. Super Bowl stats are irrelevant; they don't matter.
Right.
The Packers are the all-time NFL kings with 13 titles. By the way, the Patriots, in my opinion, are the second best franchise of all time as far as titles. Because if you take titles won divided by years in the league,
Yeah.
The Patriots are second only to the Packers, and I think this win is huge because it'll get them closer to first place. It won't put them at the top, but it'll get them closer, and that's why I think it's huge, because I don't recognize Super Bowl stats. The NFL is the only league I can recall that basically says we have 40-something, 50 years of history, and we're throwing it out. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Red Grange, Jim Thorpe, Otto Graham, Jim Brown, all you guys get out. Doesn't matter. You know, Packers, your 3 NFL titles before the 2 Super Bowls, out.
Yeah.
You know,
it is, you know, I don't think that was intentional. You know, I think when they started, people don't realize Super Bowl didn't start till Super Bowl 3.
Right.
Right. The first 2 were the AFL NFL championship game, and they didn't know how it was going to fly. The
Correct.
first game didn't even sell out. But then it became a big thing, especially when Namath won the 3rd of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think if you watch the intro to that game, Kurt Gowdy says something like, they call this the Super Bowl. Like it was sort of a novelty.
Funny.
And then it caught on with the Roman numerals. I think
Yeah.
it's hilarious when the media puts Roman numerals in articles. It's like,
Yeah.
that's a marketing gimmick. What are you putting XXV?
Right, right. They can't write out 57.
Put 57 or 60, whatever it is. What do you? Anyway, I just think it's funny. Okay, so that's all we got on the Super Bowl. We're all obviously rooting for the Patriots.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course. Hope I'm
We're
wrong.
Boston sports nuts. That's what we want. We're greedy bastards. We want more titles.
Oh,
Yeah.
And we haven't had one in 2 years. The Celtics.
Yes.
We haven't had one.
I know.
That's a drought for us.
Yeah,
Paul,
really.
let me just add an antidote here. The Patriots won the last Patriots Super Bowl. The win was actually in what, 19 or 20 of January or February?
19.
19. So Dawn and I are driving in Boston like in May of that year, and the Bruins are in the finals, and we drive by a sign, and I was able to take a picture of it. I wasn't driving, that said something like, Bruins need to win. It's been a 3-month drought. Like something like, it was so funny. It was hilarious.
Well, speaking of droughts, something I haven't heard reported anywhere else, and I'm taking credit for this one. If the Red Sox do not win the World Series this year, the 8-year drought since their last one will be the second longest drought in the history of the franchise.
Okay.
Did you know
Well,
that?
Yeah,
the
because you had
longest
told
one.
me before.
Oh, I told you that one before.
No, I didn't know
Okay.
that.
I don't
They had
know
an-
if you said it on the air, but you
They
told
had
me.
an 86-year drought,
Yeah, I
Yep.
remember that one.
and they had a 6 or 7-year drought
Yep.
before 1918, but they've never had an 8-year drought. So that will be the second longest drought. Okay, we got 2 more things I want to go over. We're going to get to the Celtics in a minute, but I want to talk
Yep.
briefly about the Hall of Fame news.
Sure.
So first we heard that former New England Patriot coach Bill Belichick did not make the Hall of Fame, or it's been leaked that he will not be among the inductees. And earlier today, we learned that the owner, Mr. Robert Kraft, is not also going to get in. So the theory that was floated that maybe Belichick didn't get in because they only wanted to pick Kraft this year, that's out the window. Neither guy gets in. Not something I want to spend a whole lot of time about. I'm not sure we really care that much about it, but I would like to get you guys to sort of weigh in on your thoughts about it.
All right, can I just go for quickly?
Yeah.
I don't care who gets in and who doesn't get in. It really doesn't change my life one way or the other. So the Hall of Fame stuff, it doesn't bother me one way or the other. But if you're going to put Jerry Jones in to the Hall of Fame, Jerry Jones, but not Robert Kraft, then I just don't get it at all. So that's just me.
Okay. Jim?
My take is this. The NFL needs to change the procedure. They're putting the players, who supposedly were nominated, were nominated, I guess, by a committee to nominate players that didn't make it in the years of eligibility. So among the three players, I can't recall the third one, but two guys that I would have thought would have been in already. Ken Anderson, who, in my opinion, was the second best third best comeback quarterback of that era behind Stabler and Staubach. And L.C. Greenwood. I mean, we were teenagers, but first of all, I still consider that Steeler team the greatest team I've ever seen. And, which would never have existed today because of the cap. There's no way they could have kept players like Greenwood. So, the Patriots dynasty didn't have the chance to do that. So they had a little advantage, but I would have thought he was in. He was dominant. Why are they going up against a coach and an owner? I don't get that. So now, having said that, out of the 5 people nominated, the most obvious choice, in my humble opinion, is clearly Bill Belichick. I'm sorry. Bill's an ogre. The league doesn't like Bill. Hey, guess what? Let me tell you some things Bill never did. He never lit up a cigar up 8 points down against, teams like the Lakers and the Knicks and all that. He never, before a game, when his best shooter said that basket isn't right, who proved out to be correct, Bill Sharman, and the owner of the other team said no, punch the owner of the other team. He was never one of the most disliked general managers and coaches in the NBA. He was never the first guy, really, to berate officials during the game. I love this guy. And he's got a statue in Boston. And he probably should have 2 or 3. And it's Red Auerbach. So I don't care about Bill that. I care in the sense that he could have been better. It would have been nice to get some info like we get from Missoula and Vrabel. Yes, as fans. But this league has no morals clause. He's the most obvious choice. 2 is an assistant coach. 6 is a coach. Come on. He clearly should have been.
Fair point about Red Auerbach. Plenty of stones you could have thrown at that guy. I'm a huge fan of his, but
me too. He's one of my
absolutely
favorite
right.
of all time.
That's right.
Everybody hated him.
2 things about this. Number one, you guys know I had a chance to meet Bill James, the baseball guru, many years ago. One of the things he asked me was, what would be your criteria for the Hall of Fame? I thought about it and I said, you walk into a room and there's 10 baseball fans there and you mention the guy's name and every single person says, yeah, that guy should be in there.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with all these Halls of Fame is we no longer adhere to that standard.
No.
Okay. As much as I admire L.C. Greenwood, as much as I admire Ken Anderson, I would say those guys are on the line.
Yeah.
Okay. And the problem is once you put guys in on the line, then that exponentially explodes the number of guys that should be under consideration. How do you have Andrew Jones in, but you don't have Dwight Evans in? How do you have, this guy in, but you don't have L.C. Greenwood in? It just, so all the Halls of Fame have become a mess.
Yeah.
I don't really follow the Hockey Hall of Fame, but I follow the Basketball Hall of Fame. There seems to be less controversy about the Basketball Hall of Fame than there is the baseball.
Yes.
But they all suffer from whataboutism, which is what about this guy if you're going to have that guy in? I'm going to just first on Belichick. This event is without question, discussion, or debate the absolute best thing that could have happened to Bill Belichick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's worked out.
I agree.
If Bill Belichick had gotten in the Hall of Fame, the story would have been Bill Belichick, an obvious choice, got in despite Spygate, despite Deflategate, despite his embarrassing behavior since he left the Patriots, despite the fact that when he left the Patriots, no one wanted to hire him, despite his churlish personality and the way he's treated the media and Mona Lisa veto and all those things that have colored to some extent his accomplishments. When he gets in probably next year, the story is going to be he finally gets what he deserves.
Right.
So although he probably is disappointed, I'm sure his PR team is saying, Bill, this is a home run for you. you've gone from being an object of hate to an object of sympathy. And there's nothing better because Americans love second acts. They love forgiveness. They forgive anybody. Okay. On the case of Robert Kraft, I'm less sure that I have an opinion about this. I think part of it is his unfortunate incident with the massage parlor, the fact that he's always kind of drawing attention to himself, the fact that he kind of takes a lot of the spotlight. I wouldn't be surprised if some voters hold that against him. I think he's done enough, independent of all that, to clearly warrant Hall of Fame induction. As Ken pointed out, if Jerry Jones is in, I mean, Kraft built a brand new stadium, saved the Patriots in New England, turned them into a model franchise, whether you want to give him credit or not. I mean, I still give him credit for the Bledsoe era.
Yeah.
You know,
Kraft,
he's had a competitive team, 38 out of his 42 years. It's really remarkable.
Kraft's another one. He's a no-brainer.
Right.
He's a no-brainer. I mean, all those football accomplishments. He was instrumental in the settling of a players' dispute. Jeff Saturday of the Colts at the time, I remember, praised him for his involvement. Now, Kraft is, again,
media deals, Jim. He does the media deals.
Yeah,
he's an absolute. Since all we can talk about these days are Super Bowls, this is going to be what the guy's 11th. 11th. Come on. I mean, most appearances. I think your first point too, on Mad Dog Russo's show, they call it the Hall of the Very Good, the Baseball Hall of Fame, and that's what these Hall of Fames have become. And I think the two guys there were Belichick and Kraft, but I think it's unfortunate they're up against three players. And another, Belichick is clearly now will be the guy that, as you said, got in as opposed to automatically. And I think for Pats fans, it's actually going to be a great day because Tom Brady, after this, promised a huge turnout of Patriots players for Bill when he gets in. And I always like those things with the Celtics. And I think that's going to, and I'm going to, if this happens, and I think it will, because Brady says it's going to happen. And he's the leader of those teams. I think it's going to be a great day for Pats fans, which I'm going to thoroughly enjoy watching all those players come up for Bill and be together again and remind us of those great 20 years.
That'll be a big day for sure. Absolutely. All right. Last thing. Oh, Ken, did you have one more thing?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Last thing. Let's talk a little bit on the hardwood. The Celtics have scuffled a little bit I think they're 8-6 in their last 14 games. I mean, when you compare it to the streak they were on earlier, the trade deadline is coming up. We're hearing a lot of names thrown around. Anthony Simons. I saw Sam Hauser mentioned today in a deal for a big man. Jim, as our Celtic guru here, you and Kenny, why don't you tell me what you're thinking about all this?
What I'm thinking about all this is Brad Stevens has been put in a very difficult position by Joe Mazzulla and the 14 players or more who have played for the Celtics this year. They clearly don't want to go into the second apron. And here's this team at 32-18 now, tied for second in the East. Jaylen Brown is playing his you-know-what off, the whole deal we've talked about. Anthony Simons going into this season was a clear trade candidate. He makes a lot of money, 27 to 31 million, whatever it is.
Expiring contract.
If, however, the Celtics build for next season, the message that's going to send to the locker room of this team that right now is 32-18 with 2 games to play, which I will be at before the trade deadline, is going to be awful. Can you imagine being Jaylen Brown and Anthony Simons is traded for, another expiring contract and a number 1 pick? What? That guy's personally won a couple of games. The offense was doing nothing, and we've been texting what's going on, and he comes in, and, Drew Carter does a great job, with the Inferno going off, and that guy has personally won games. I don't know how you do that right now. So my guess is if I had to guess, they're going to try to make a marginal move to improve the center position if they can. If not, I think Brad's going to defer to this year's team and keep most of them together.
I don't
I
think
guess.
that.
Purely a guess, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a. I don't think Jaylen Brown would be happy for what they've done this year, the way he's led them, the way he's played to get them to this point, the MVP season he's having, and then they trade away Anthony Simons. By the way, named after Anthony Penny Hardaway.
Yeah. Yep.
Because one
I
of their
hope that's who he's named
problems.
after.
What's that?
No, it's okay.
One of their problems is, even though their bench is a good spark, is Simons is pretty much the only real consistent scorer off the bench. Where they're lacking is other guys that can come in and actually score. Sometimes Gaza gets 8 or 10, because he mops up some offensive rebounds, which is great. But if they were to trade Simons, if they didn't get a good bench scorer back, this team would be in a lot of trouble. So I'm not sure that Brad Stevens is going to do that to Jaylen Brown, who's put in this type of year, this effort, and the rest of the team. I mean, look at Pritchard's won some games for us. Kate has won a game or two. They've all chipped in and overachieved, as we said. I don't know what they, like you said, they put Stevens in a bad position, because I sort of think going into the year, he thought they'd be hovering around 500 at this point.
Yeah.
And they'd clear some salary cap so they could do some things next year.
Right.
But they're 32-18, like you said. So I can't, unless they get another scorer back and another really good offensive player for Hardaway, I can't see them trading them away. They got some other guys that, like you said, they can make marginal moves with. So I don't know.
I got two takes and they contradict one another, but I don't care.
That's
Number one is I don't think Brad Stevens cares 1 ounce what the locker room thinks if he makes a move. I don't. I think he was trained under Danny Ainge, and Danny traded Kendrick Perkins, and
Yep.
Danny, and they cut Drew Holiday, who was very popular, and they
traded him.
I don't think that will influence his thinking at all. I think if Brad Stevens thought that Jaylen Brown would have a complete meltdown, he would still do it, because he's cold and ruthless when it comes to his management style. Having said that, I don't think he will do it, because I think this ownership does not want to start off in its first year being targeted by every media person in Boston for being cheap. I think they will look at it and say, it's going to cost us. It's not ideal, but as a sort of a long-term goodwill investment, even though it's a short-term hit, we're going to stick with what we have. They have the third best net rating in the league, the Celtics. That means they are a legit title contender. If Detroit, for example, sustains an injury, and we've all seen how injuries play into these things, the only team really standing in the way of the Celtics is a healthy Knicks team. They have a legitimate shot at coming out of the East. Now, you come out of the East, and then, the old cliche, anything can happen.
Right.
So,
No,
especially if you get back Tatum, right? If Tatum smells a chance at a ring, he might come back earlier than maybe he otherwise would come back. I don't think Brad's going to be influenced by the locker room, but I do think they're going to stick with what they have because it's just going too well.
Well, I think your second point is right on, in that I guess I should have said this, and you said it well.
Yeah.
Stevens, I don't think cares about the locker room in 99% of the cases. I think this time he does, because they can win. So I guess that may be contradictory, as you said.
Yeah.
Because your second point is right on. They can win. Whether they can win the title, I still think a finals appearance is worth it. I don't know about, you guys, but I think that's worth it. It's exciting. You know, they always say the journey is just as important as the destination. It'd be a lot of fun, right? We can follow the Celtics through the playoffs. They've proven they haven't played OKC, but they've proven they can play with almost anybody anyway, right?
Yeah.
They lost 3 or 4 to the Pistons, but all those games were competitive, and the highest margin was 7. Excuse me. So I think you're right on there, Paul. I think he thinks they can win. So I think that's why he cares. But I can see why you say both, because normally you're right. I mean, he did what he had to do with the second apron, and that couldn't.
Won't you tell millions of viewers across the country where you are and what you're doing for the next couple of days as a Celtics fan?
Oh yeah, I'm actually in 2019. We did what I now call the California Quadrilateral. We saw every California team.
Everybody calls it that, Jim. So
yeah, right. They went
I have
3-1.
a tattoo.
They went 3-1, and now I'm in Dallas right now. And tonight they're playing Cooper Flag and the Mavs, and tomorrow we'll be in Houston, where they play Kevin Durant and the Rockets.
Nice.
And because the Celtics no longer seem to play the Texas Triangle on one trip, because I think Oklahoma City, since they got in the league and they replaced Seattle, the Celtics have not done that since 2008 when they swept the Triangle. I think what they do is 2 Texas teams, then Texas and OKC. We went to the Spurs Magic game Sunday night, saw Wemby, saw one of Paul's guys, Luke Cornett, and the Spurs won in a game that was supposed to start at 3, then was supposed to start at 6, then was supposed to start at 8. They couldn't get out of North Carolina. They let everybody that came early into this ultra club or whatever it was called. We had a good meal and enjoyed the fun. So
nice.
2 other things on this. As far as Jaylen Brown, great article on him today in the Globe, how he appreciates Celtic history and legacy and all that. How he really enjoyed meeting Emmett Bryant, who won a championship in '69, who's now like 87 or something. Yeah,
I remember Emmett Bryant.
I do too. 2 years, and he averaged 20 in the finals, I think, against the Lakers in '69. Yeah, he started for that team, I think.
Yes, he did.
So, and also, I got Jaylen Brown, frankly, right now. I think Jokic, I may be wrong, but I think he's ineligible to win the MVP, maybe.
Yeah, percent. Yeah. I don't
If
think
he is, I got Jaylen Brown as number 2 behind Shea. I got him over Cunningham because I think he's a better defensive player. So just a great, that could change. But now, one other thing about the trade deadline I'd like to bring up, 1965. The famous album.
I was just talking about this.
Yeah. The famous album, Havlicek Stole the Ball.
Right.
Johnny Most, which he narrates, he says, in the winter of '65 or whatever month it was, a trade was made that rocked the NBA. Wilt Chamberlain went from the Warriors to the 76ers, and then they went into that awesome series, which ended with Ken's guy, one of the Celtics greats, stealing the ball. I think in the next 3 days, Giannis Antetokounmpo, where he goes is going to rock the NBA.
Oh, we know he's going to the Lakers. Everybody goes to the Lakers. Now they'll have James, Doncic, and Antetokounmpo.
Right, but wherever he goes is going to rock the NBA and shift the balance of power. He is that good if he's healthy, and we'll see what happens.
Hey, by the way, Paul, just quickly, you mentioned Tatum. It's more up in the air now than ever because he said he's not sure if he can actually play this year. So
a lot of different theories about why he's saying that. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I'll go ahead, Jim.
Ken, I got one for you from the road, by the way.
Yeah.
When I'm watching Wemby there were 2 plays that I could almost hear your voice. He's traveling.
Oh, by the way, speaking of last night, I turned on the Philly. Was it Philly on last night against somebody? I forget. And somebody comes around the pick, catches the ball, takes 2 steps, doesn't dribble, stops, takes another step, and then starts dribbling. And I go, okay. I don't get it. You can take 3 steps without dribbling, even if you don't gather. So whatever.
To solve that problem, you literally it would take years
Right. Yeah.
because the NBA players all do it. They all take all the time they need. I just want to go back to the Pioneer Day that I think we all enjoyed watching that
Yeah.
Celtic game.
Yes, yes.
The city of Boston rightfully has a reputation about being, serious problems with race.
Right.
Going back, 100 years. I think we all agree things are better, still a long way to go. But when the Celtics get tagged with that, it really bothers me
Oh,
because
same here, Paul.
just look at what the black players over the years have said about Red. Red didn't care, and it's so cliche to say it, but Red didn't care about race. And he was the first black, one of the first black players in the league, one of the first black starting five, first black head coach, acquired black players in trades, drafted black players.
Didn't care.
Now the Celtics were fortunate to have some amazing white players along the way. Those players would have been welcome on any team. The Celtics didn't take John Havlicek because he was white. They took him because he was arguably, well, not arguably, he was one of the best offensive players of the 1960s in the NBA. They took Dave Cowens because he was one of the best centers of the 1970s. And Larry Bird is one of the 5 to 10 best players in the NBA history. This idea that they over the years always made sure they had great white players. Well, I think any team would have been happy to have those players.
Absolutely, Paul.
So it really it's unfortunate that sometimes, why did they have Jerry Sheesting on the team? Well, he was like the 9th guy on the bench,
and he was good.
I know, it's like
really good.
Are we still
Real
having
good
to talk about this? I don't mind having the racial conversations. Gotta have them. Gotta have them about the city. Gotta have them about our country. But about the Celtics, we're actually having this conversation.
Weak.
How many times do people have to be reminded that the Celtics were the trailblazer team in the NBA? And they, players refused to go into segregated restaurants. Players refused to, go into segregated stadiums. They did whatever they could reasonably do as, players making 10 grand a year playing for the NBA.
Yeah, Paul.
It bugs me because the city, guilty. The Celtics, not guilty.
Well, all you got to do is look at Bill Russell on that. He loved the Celtics, and only later in his life, came to, embrace Boston a little more.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Paul. It's a great point. To quickly run it down, first player drafted, Chuck Cooper. First team to start 3 when throughout the league, people thought, and I have no proof, obviously, I was like 2, but people thought that there was a quota that you could only start 2 blacks. First team
the
to start
proverbial
3.
Gentleman's agreement.
Yes, gentleman's agreement. First team to start 3, first team to start 4, first team to start 5, first team to hire a black coach in the NBA. Actually, first black coach in professional sports since like Fritz Pollard, I think, back in the 20s or teens. Not only hired Bill Russell, but hired Sat Sanders, hired Casey Jones. And I remember even Jesse Jackson, when he was confronted with that, and I could have this wrong, and I apologize if I do, it's from my memory, but he's, what about Celtics? They're all white, blah, blah, blah. He goes, yeah, but Larry Bird's boss is black. So it's like, please, Paul hit the nail on the head. The Celtics were the trailblazers, and enough if it's still going on, just enough.
That's a weak take if people still go that way. That's just weak.
Yep.
Again, we're not talking about the city.
Right.
We're not talking about America.
Right.
We're not talking about the racism that has plagued societies for thousands of years.
Right.
Talking about the Boston Celtics and their reputation as somehow
right.
a white team, a racist
Hey, the 2008
team.
team was coached by Doc Rivers and 5 starting black players too. I mean,
right.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway. All right. Well, hey, this is a special edition of Sports Nuts because we got a big game coming up. We're very excited. We want to thank our producer, Evan Cardamino. Charlotte also for helping us out. Thank you to Westwood Cable for producing this for us. And any last words, fellas?
Go
win.
Cats.
Let's go win.
Please.
Let's go win
Yeah.
the game. All
As
right, we'll
Paul
see you next
said,
week.
it's been a 2-year drought.
We'll be back with the results next week.
Yes.
Thank you for watching Boston Sports Nuts. You can find all of our episodes available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. For more information, go to westwoodmediacenter.tv or follow Boston Sports Nuts on Facebook, Instagram, and X.